But I grew up in Chinatown in the 50s. And I went to Gene Parker Elementary School, and everybody was Chinese, but all the teachers and the principal was white, and immigration was closed. So it was it was a small little world in Chinatown. Everyone knew everybody. My mom was very popular and knew everybody in Chinatown. She worked first in the sewing factory and then in the souvenir stores for the Louis, Sinclair Louis and all the big shops to May Louis. So she was working there for a long time. For me, it was a time of racism. So I went to Gene Parker School, which was all Chinese, like I said, and got in trouble in the 5th grade. But I said, the teacher was making fun of the Chinese, and I said, shut up to the teacher. So in the 5th grade, I got expelled from school because I told the teacher to shut up. Because she was saying that Chinese are good cooks and laundry people, and my dad was a cook, by the way. But I just felt there was a little bit of a misunderstanding of why the Chinese ended up in those areas. And so I said, shut up. My mom was head of the PTA, so it was very embarrassing. But I remember that. The 50s and early 60s, before immigration changed in '68, it was a different period in Chinatown. And so I'm an old-time Chinatown guy, 3rd-generation Chinatown guy. So my perspective might be a little different from new immigrants and others, but I felt racism was the key issue for the 50s and 60s. The Chinese community was not really that well respected unless we produced in different areas quietly. But I was, okay, so my dad and my mom were very passive and quiet. And here I am as an American Chinatown kid, not the same generation. So I would fight back. So I told the teacher to shut up. In junior high, I got in trouble with the Italians who didn't like the Chinese, so I got beat up. I was actually, all right, this is good. You should get an A for this, just for getting me to say this. So my first day going to Francisco Junior High, which is in North Beach, I remember walking across Washington Square. I was a happy kid in Chinatown, right? So the world is all Chinese, right? Then you gotta go to North Beach, and in North Beach, I met the Salesian Boys Club as I'm walking by, and they tied me to a fence and said, let's get the Chinamen, right? And so they water balloon tortured me. Can you imagine water bombs? You know those balloons, right? And I got so angry that I'll never forget. That was my first introduction to racism. That North Beach and the Italians didn't like the Chinese. So then I realized, oh my God. So the Chinese are not that welcome in San Francisco and other parts of the U.S. So I tried to keep my spirit high, but after you get water balloon tortured by these guys that didn't know me, they called, there was a movement called, in North Beach, what was it called? DACs. Damn all Chinamen. DAC was spray painted in North Beach playground. And I got beat up a few times by these boys just because I'm walking alone, which is not smart. But when you talk about racism in this country, in the civil rights movement, people don't know what happened to the Chinese. So I experienced it firsthand and realized that the world in America was a little different multiculturally, and the Chinese were not that well respected.